Hey, Lenica Digital here, back with another Blender tutorial. I said I would create this geo-nodes mushroom video if my TikTok got to 2,000 likes, and because of all of you amazing supporters, here's the video. Special thanks to No Gordo, Jonas ADHD, and Queen Soflix for leaving such wonderful comments. It's one of the best parts of creation, so keep them coming. First thing we're going to do is to add a cube, delete all the vertices with Shift X, and then add a quadratic Bezier. If we plug in the quadratic Bezier, you can see the curve, but it's not doing exactly what we want. I'm going to add a curve to mesh and then a curved circle so you can see more of what I'm doing. Turn the end scale to whatever height you want and level out everything else so we get this nice little cylinder. We're now going to set the position and then use a noise texture to iterate over certain points so we get a little bit more variation. If I turn the scale down, you'll be able to see it a little bit better, but right now I am going to add a set curve and then reduce the radius here so we see it's a little bit of a smaller stem. Add a map range and then connect the map range to the radius. Add a curve parameter and then set the curve parameter to the value. You'll see that you get a little bit more of a cone shape. And when you change the minimum and maximum value, the base and the top of the stem will get a little bit smaller. Add a little bit more resolution and then turn the scale down until you get something that you think looks pretty good. If you zoom out, you can see the stem is not actually on the ground plane. We're going to use a transform to do this, and if you know a better way, please tell me. And just move the X, Y, and Z until you are on the origin of the object. So I'm just zooming out, and that looks about right. It's in the middle of my frame. If I change the mid and the end values, you can see how I'm moving the placement of the stem, and this is really infinite. You can do whatever you want with this. I'm going to now clean up my node network. This always helps me so I can read everything a little bit better. And then if I add a frame, you can put all these things in the frame, and now it's all nice and neat. Now the modeling portion of this video. This is going to be a super easy model, and you're just going to add a cube and then give it a couple subdivisions. Scale up the bottom plane, and then add in a couple loop cuts wherever needed. First I'm going to inset, add a loop cut there, and extrude upwards so you get the inside of the cap. You can kind of leave it like this. It's whatever you want on the top of your mushroom, but I'm going to give it a little bit more detail by adding another loop cut, dragging the top face up, and squishing it in so you kind of get that like little bell shape, I'll call it. Add another loop cut and shade smooth. For the inside of the mushroom, I'm just going to grab another square and shrink down one face, add the subdivision, and kind of get like a corn shape. I'm going to drag it out, and then where the origin is, set it to the very end, Shift D to duplicate, and then do rotate on the X value, and then multiply those until you have 8 of them. And shade smooth, and then join together. Tab into edit mode, shrink those down on the Z axis, and then maybe if it's not fitting exactly how you want, go into X-ray mode, grab all the vertices in the middle, and then pull upwards. And that's really the end of this modeling portion. You can make this in geometry nodes, but it's going to be a lot easier to model it. And I just want to say you should be using whatever is easiest. A lot of these tools are here for your disposal, but you can take 1,000 steps to do one thing, or just model some cubes and call it a day. Next is the cap portion of this video. I would say it's a little bit quicker, but it is a little bit more confusing. But if we can drag the cap that we just made into the geometry nodes and add an instance on points, we're basically going to instance this cap just on the very top of our stem. Connect the set curve radius to the instance on point, and then the object info to the instances. Use a join geometry and an instance on points, and you can see all of our caps as points on this stem. We obviously don't want that many caps. We probably just want one. So if we take a random value, we can turn that to a Boolean and have the selection be only a certain amount of caps. If you put it at the very end, those only going to be 1 with the random value. To make this a little bit easier on yourself, add a resample and connect it to the instance on points. Then turn the count down to 3 with the probability under 0.33 because there's a 33% chance to get the 1 point at the top. That's kind of the theory behind it, but it's a little bit of a workaround. We need to now deal with our rotation. And to deal with the rotation, we're going to do a Euler to vector and then plug it into the rotation, not the scale. And this is just certain ways that the cap is going to face depending on the way that your stem is facing. Connect the rotation to the align to Euler, and then use another curve parameter to see now it's facing the direction that it is pointing. And that's exactly what you want. Congratulations, you are finished. You have completed the geometry nodes portion of this video. You should be proud because this is not easy stuff. Next is the customization of the mushroom. Just taking certain parameters, connecting to the group input. So now we can change the middle value and the end value of our stem. You can do that in the modifiers panel. And I also pinned it so we can always take a look at it. I'm adding the 2min and 2max, which is what we use to control the stem thickness. And we can add whatever parameters we want. If you set this to 4D, the W controls time, and you can set the scale so you can get it way more detailed if that fits your scene best. To make this video not too long, I've just added the textures that I use. The top one is the cap and the bottom one is the stem. Also use a set material for the stem because in geometry nodes it won't actually set your texture unless you do it in the node network. So I just wanted to point that out. The rest of this video is just going to be me plugging in more parameters so we have more control over the mushroom. If you click on I and then go to the group input, you can change the names of these parameters so they make a little bit more sense to you. Like for middle, I didn't really know what to call it, or end, I'm just going to call it midpoint and endpoint, stuff like that. And you can do this whatever makes you want to play with geometry nodes. It's all about the learning, and it's all about wanting to make really cool things with the tools that you have. So just go crazy with it. You can plug in any one of these attributes from any one of the nodes. It's truly infinite. And that's the end of this 5-minute tutorial. I want to give a big shout to everybody on my TikTok who supported me and said they wanted this video. You guys really helped me so much in the creative process, just being happy to get up and make videos for you guys. So I just wanted to give a huge thanks, and I will see you in the next video. See ya.